Hello and welcome. It is the next. Oh wow, my face is greasy. The next episode. I'm trying new face care stuff, man, and trying to take care of myself. It is Tiger Vision. We are Duval. If you were wondering when I was gonna mess up the show, first 3 seconds. Look at Reedy already. Reedy,
already on your head.
It's been a tough week, Reedy. Give me some slack. Relax. It's almost time for our break between seasons. You can expect me to be a little loopy right now. Give me a break. But I want to thank everybody for joining. Coach, happy to have you here with us. First and foremost, Coach, how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm great. It's Christmas Eve, man. It's Christmas Eve. We know what gets going tomorrow, so a couple of busy, long days, but excited for it.
For sure. I always like to start the show by asking you how you doing, because how many people ask the head coach, how are you, without actually wanting something after the hour?
That's a great point. I always, sometimes if you see on social media, I always say, who helps the helper? So that's a great point you just made.
For sure. That's how we're going to get it started. This is Tiger Vision. We are Duval. This is the place. This is the spot. Beat them to the spot. This is the spot for all of your Edward Waters men's basketball news, but not always just men's basketball. We share the sugar. We pass the ball sometimes.
Hey, I'm a true PG, baby.
Listen. Now I will say this: we've had women's basketball on the show. Reedy, I'm not doing this with you. We've had women's basketball head coach Eric Jackson Jr. on the show. We've had the head coach of the men's baseball team on the show. We've shown love to Edward Waters football on the show. I could argue we may be slightly a little bit responsible for the 6-game winning streak that the football team went on. I mean, we didn't drop the game plan, but I feel like we had something to do with it.
Hey, all I can say is I remember out recruiting, and Reedy, Britt, and I were watching that Hail Mary on our phones, and people probably thought we were crazy because we were just jumping up and down.
Listen, as I get back to football, how the Tuskegee win,
the Albany State win at home last second.
Edward Waters is no longer homecoming.
No longer homecoming. Hey, it's flipped so much, and I mean, I'm not really dropping anything, but they got us in this year's football schedule. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
It's gonna be some tough ones.
We only got 4 home games. What are we doing?
Oh, they gotta give us more home games. I see, when you pack out the stadium like that and you put fear in people's heart, when you start upsetting people, then the schedule makers, as in May, they put you on the road a whole bunch.
But we got some ESPN stuff, so we're excited about that.
Gonna be a good one out there. We do have a few more champions, Coach, to possibly bring on the show. Maybe eventually we could get women's softball.
Yep, Coach Ellison.
They are champions in their own right.
Right.
To come on the show. Maybe we could get volleyball. We've had
Coach Ford,
some champions on the volleyball side to come on to the show. We got to show track and field some love, because one of our own is out there on the track making it happen.
Yeah. And Deshaun does a little track too, so
I can see him. He's got to be doing like the high jump or something, right?
You got it. He's doing some jumping, some high and some triple,
I can
long.
definitely see it. High jump, triple jump. That guy can fly. Speaking of Deshaun, we'll get more about him a little bit later today. But still some more champions that we could invite on the show. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. All in season 2, I think. I think that's how we'll probably start season 2 with some of that.
I like it. But we have to remind you guys that none of this would be possible. None of this would be possible without you. First Coast Community Development and Goodfellas Pizza and Wings in Jacksonville. I want to thank you for all that you do to make this broadcast possible, to make this program possible. Everything you do is just tremendous. Please go and patronize those two businesses.
And I think some people will be seeing a little bit of First Community Coast Development this weekend. And with something that you may pop up on the show, it's thanks to both our two sponsors as well. So we'll just kind of dive into it and see how we go from there.
Hey, so it would be great. It would be great if Goodfellas could make a surprise appearance. Listen, let me make a couple calls. Or Savannah State game if Goodfellas Pizza and Wings could. Okay,
we'll see what we can do.
Listen, okay. I'll be taken care of with the food, man. But here we go. Let's start with this. This should be the first topic of the show. I don't see any other way that we could possibly start this. Since you mentioned one of our sponsors, it's time to ball. Coach, do we still got you? And I think Coach is frozen. But we've got men's basketball team camp coming up, the Duval Summer Explosion. It is time to ball in Duval. Hey, man, I am not bougie on the travel. I love Jacksonville. I make it down as much as possible. Yes, it is ISO time. I'm clearing out. I make it down to Jacksonville whenever I can, but I will say that y'all guys, you threw a camp on Father's Day, man. So Father's Day weekend, and he's back.
I'm back. I apologize. I don't know what just happened, but hey, I'm back. Father's Day weekend. I mean, we're actually not doing it on Father's Day purposely, but we are doing it Father's Day weekend, and I just want to make sure we allow those fathers who are coming to watch or have sons to get back home so they can celebrate. But it's just a great weekend for us. We hate that we got to battle JU a little bit on this weekend. Hopefully that never happens again, so we both can have great camps. But we're excited about it, man. 40-plus teams starting tomorrow, 9 a.m. Last game starts at 9 p.m. We do it all again Saturday from Tallahassee to DeLand to Palm Beach to Miami to Alpharetta, Georgia to down south in Georgia. So we're spread out and we love it and we're excited about it, and we're gonna be in both gyms, and you won't have to worry about teams that are coming. Whether us coaches, my staff and I, we're going to be watching. We're going to be evaluating. Don't think we're just there to let you have some open runs, and we're gonna be in our offices on our computers. No, we're gonna be sitting there watching, evaluating, trying to see if we can find the next great Tiger.
Sounds like an awesome time, and what better way? In the summertime, a lot of times teams play, I don't want to say meaningless games. There are no meaningless games when you're trying to get your team prepared and ready for the season. But man, every opportunity where you can go and be evaluated. We know that there are team camps on every college campus. Some of those campuses, you never see the staff. You'll see the equipment manager. You'll see the ops guy, but you never really see the coaches out evaluating. So to get an opportunity to truly have your kids evaluated, I think is a good look. Coach,
and like we said, to get evaluated, playing on a college floor with the shot clock, and we're not trimming it down to 35 either. You're gonna play with that 30-second shot clock. We want to see how you translate to our game with our 3-point line and everything. It's gonna be an experience, and we want them to have that experience. To get to play on what we feel is, if not the best, but definitely top 3 basketball courts in America. So we're excited about it.
Without question, one of the courts that I hold near and dear, along with my hometown court. But Coach, I will ask you this: you have a unique experience.
Okay.
You've been college coach, multiple schools, different stops. You've got a ton of HBCU experience, but not just HBCU experience, Division I college coaching experience. But you've also been a high school coach, and you've had super talented kids in your high school programs. You've had high major kids. You've had pros. You've had Division I kids, but you've also had Division II, Division III, and NAIA kids come out of your program. When it comes to scheduling an elite camp, should high school coaches look a little more closely at the level of their kids and at their rosters as far as what their kids need when they select a team camp to go to? Tell us what all goes into that. How do the budgets come about? Like what all goes into putting your as a high school coach, putting your team in the right team camp?
It's funny because Coach Britt and I were just talking about this, and we were talking about it as both former high school coaches, trying to see where our teams were going to go for team camp. So we'll talk about it in both ways, team and elite camp. I think you want to take a chance at elite camp to get your team away from wherever city you're from, where maybe you can spend the night somewhere else. That's what Coach Britt and I really believed in, and I think that way your team gets to bond, and you can kind of bring them together. Because no matter what, even if you're bringing everybody back, there's probably some new pieces or people that have to fill in the new roles on the team. So it's a great chance for them to bond with you and your staff. So whatever level that may be, but just choose a place out of town. And then you do want to choose. I'm never going to tell anybody don't go to a Division I camp. Go to that Division I camp, especially if it's near your school in your hometown. That's probably one of the best to go to. When I was in Atlanta, we would obviously do Georgia State, and at that time, Georgia Tech. And I know people do UGA and now Kennesaw. We did Kennesaw, but always go to those. But then I would choose one more. I would choose one where basically, if you've got a pro or a definite Division I player, they're gonna get their look, to be honest with you. Yep. So now you're trying to find another place where you can get your kids looks, whether that's an NAIA, some JUCOs have camps, whether that's a D3 or a D2 team camp. Take your kids there, because, like, for instance, and I'm not saying they won't have it at some Division I's, but we have some coaches of other levels that's going to be at our camp evaluating, right? So that's something that sometimes you may not get at Division I. I'm not saying you won't, but you may not get. And then when you talk about elite camps, it's the same thing. We've got to do a better job of being honest with our players and our parents of our players if we're talking about AAU and high school coaches. Like right now, you're not a Florida State player. You're not. But you possibly could be a Bethune-Cookman player. You possibly could be a North Florida player. You possibly could be an Errol Waters player. So if we're talking about going to 3 elite camps and maybe 2 exposure camps, then let's choose the best 2 or 3 elite camps that we can. Maybe you do say, I'm going to shoot for the stars. This is my A. So I'm going to go to Miami's team, elite camp. Well, then where I think I'm going to end up, maybe I'm going to go to a JU's elite camp. But then I'm going to go to Edward Waters elite camp. So you're getting 3 different levels, of where you can evaluate yourself. And some questions that I would begin asking. Was it a personal invite? Right? Those are always different. If you get a personal invite, those are the ones you need to be going to if you're talking about elite camps. Mm-hmm. And then trying to decide again, or am I just going to go? Or if this school really wanted me, am I going to choose to go there? Because if you're not going to choose to go there, then you're wasting your time going to that elite camp. You're wasting your time. You're wasting the staff's time, because if they really like you, but you're saying, I'm just going, then you're wasting your time. So I think those are really 2 key things. And how does it help you if there are 200 guys in the gym?
That part.
I don't know how you judge that. I don't know how you can tell a number of who's going to be there. Maybe that's something you have to ask around. Hey, coach, you know anybody that went to elite camp? Maybe you got to talk to your head coach, your AAU coach, the high school coach. You know anybody that went there? How do they run it? Like, are we just playing games? Is it going to be 200 people there? Is it going to be? Am I actually going to get a conversation with a coach? Right? Well, he's going to direct me on the floor and anything. So those are the big things that I would say. Because we're getting into that time, and especially when you talk about elite camps, a lot of more of them will happen after the July AAU period. Like, you got to take advantage of these high school guys. You got to. This isn't 10 years ago where you could wait late and you're going to get that Division I offer. So you need to make sure people see who you are now, because a lot of people, once January, February hits, they're not talking to high school players anymore because of the portal, because of JUCOs. And that's just an honest assessment right now.
I would agree. Coach, what would your thoughts be for players, outside of a certain area going to elite camps, maybe outside of their region per se? Let's say a kid from, Tennessee wants to make the trip down to Errol Waters to attend elite camp. And maybe that's, a kid that you guys hadn't got a chance to see. Maybe you hadn't got a chance to get up to Memphis or something for recruiting, but they know you play in that area. What would you say to kids from that?
I think that I would first start with, have you seen them or us at your games? Have we been in contact with you? If we've been in contact with you, we've been at your games, then we probably want to see you at elite camp, to be honest with you, right? The second part is if maybe it just didn't work. We didn't see you AAU-wise, right? Mm-hmm. But you have done some research on our school, the way we play, our coaching style, you know the type of player we like, and what we offer academically fits you, then I would say make that trip, right? Because there's some people that want to get, let's say Tennessee is 8-9 hours, depending on where you are in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Some of them may want to get that far from home. They want to, get to the warm sunshine and have a beach they can lay out on sometimes, So I don't blame them. Come on down. We'll love to have you, It goes back to what we talk about when we talk about our recruiting rectangle, right? Where we're 6 hours or less from. Obviously, 6 hours or less from Miami, 6 hours or less from Charlotte, 6 hours or less from Atlanta, 6 hours or less from Mobile. If you're definitely anywhere in that 6 hour or less range, I will tell you to go to elite camp. If you're in a 6 hour or less range, for whatever elite camp you're thinking about, you should go. And that includes ours. I'm going to tell you the date, September 14th.
Be there. Don't want to miss out on Elite Camp Huff. That was great. Great information. I hope parents are listening. Um, Great gems, great information. Great for coaches too on how to choose team camp and elite camp. Um, Coach, we saw this out here.
Hey, we dropping a bomb today, right? We dropping a bomb.
Yes, sir.
We on April 25th, 2023, I said we are Duval. And so we just backing it up with our alternate jersey that we'll be having this year in black that says Duval. So excited that those came in, and I know our guys are going to be excited about them. We were excited to see them finally unveiled and what they look like in person. So we thank you to our sponsors for helping us with this too. So
absolutely, I see the nice SIAC on the jersey there. That looks clean. So who helped with the design? Tell us the background. How did you decide to come up with? I know Duval is a special thing to you, but what went into putting that on the jersey and all that?
I just thought, EWU is on our other ones. And, when you think of an alternate jersey, I think of football a lot of times. Like you see those great alternate jerseys, like the alternate Falcons jersey is a throwback, right? So I'm like, man, what would really set it off if we did something? Well, let's use a Duval name and let's go black. And I'm not gonna lie, those combination jerseys that football got, that was the kicker right there. Let me see what football doing. Like, And then we kind of got together as a staff and all right, what we want to do. We want to do black. We want to do this. How we want to do it, and then thanks to our uniform guy at BSN, and they gave us some different looks, and we kind of chose one, and we're excited to be able to wear those things this year.
I love it. I love it. Can't wait to see them out there on the floor. Maybe I'll be able to pressure Huff enough to give us some insight on what in the calendar. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing that I know about Huff. It's going to be planned. It will not happen by chance. When those Duval jerseys will make their way to the Adam Jenkins complex, it will be planned. It will not be random. We will know in advance. It'll be written down somewhere. I'm going to try to see if I can get him to spill the beans. And see how Reedy do me. All right, Reedy, you're going to come to work, and I'm just going to be sitting in your office. I'm going to be sitting in your office. Not when y'all get there, because you practice at 6 a.m. No, I can't wait to see the new uniforms. That's going to be fantastic. Going to be good to see. I'm going to try to get you to spill the beans, though.
We'll see if it happens.
We'll see. Hey, listen. Shoot for the stars, right? I did get breaking news.
You did.
A couple times. So, Coach, we talked about the NBA playoffs. And boy.
So you can I'm waiting on it, Dre.
You called it.
Okay, thank you.
You called it. Listen, I want to say maybe it couldn't have been more than 40 minutes after you got on this same podcast and said, this is going to be the Porzingis series, that I felt like Porzingis was like 10 for 10.
That first game.
He got in the game in game one and two-hand dunk, block shot at the rim, 3-3, two-hand dunk, block shot at the rim.
High post catch shooting over the little dude.
Like I feel like maybe y'all talked or something, and like you knew that was gonna happen.
I kept the main thing I was looking at was, okay, people, as much as they talk about how good Tatum and Brown, and even we talk about Derek White and Holiday and Horford and Porzingis offensively, how good Boston is, we don't talk about how good they are defensively, right? And I thought that was going to really challenge Dallas because Minnesota did a lot of drop coverage because that's what they were used to. They didn't really they didn't really dictate anything differently for Dallas to do in their defense in the Western Conference Finals. And when they did change it, they blitzed, Kyrie and Luka. But after, a quarter, 2 quarters, great players make adjustments off that blitz. And they were slipping, they were hitting the roll guy, and they were getting lob dunks, and I thought that's where, regardless of what coverage Boston did, unless Dallas was going to throw it inside if Boston switched, they weren't going to get those lob dunks, and especially when Porzingis was in the game. I think games 1 through 2, they only got 2 lob dunks. That's what they were doing all Minnesota series, and technically Minnesota is a longer, taller team than Boston. With Cat and Naz Reid and Gobert. So I was just looking at that, and on the other side, I said, well, how is Dallas going to guard those guys? The biggest thing I was concerned was the layoff for Boston coming into game 1. So when they blitzed them coming out the gate, I said, oh, this thing, they're in trouble. Dallas in trouble, right? And the second thing was, I think sometimes Boston falls into being 2-3 happy. And if they didn't do that, I felt it was going to be a long series for Dallas. And, it's hard to sweep somebody, but I will say this. I think I saw something today that said in the media portion of a shoot-around or whatever you call it on the court, no Dallas Maverick player was out there. I know what that meant in my mind.
Packing it up.
Time to go to Cancun, baby.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Yeah.
Wow. Did I not expect this? I knew Boston was really tough. I, like you, was worried about the layoff for Boston. I thought it would impact Boston more than it impacted Dallas. I got to give a shout out to Jaylen Brown.
Oh, I was just about to say that. We've got to put some respect on his name because I'm going to just be honest. As good as Tatum is, I think Jaylen Brown has been the best player for Boston throughout the playoffs. Maybe. And he's made big shots, big defensive play. It's just been everything.
I'm going to be honest, Coach. I would argue that Jaylen Brown has been the best player in the series.
I would agree.
On the floor, just flat out the best player on the floor. There are those that will point to Luka's numbers. I would argue that Luka also has a mixtape of blow-bys, which you don't see very often. It is not very often that you see players get a 1-minute mixtape of them being a chair on defense.
Right.
And I'd say that about a talented player. I couldn't do a 10th of the things that Luka can do on the basketball court. But his defense has been hard to watch at times.
Has been.
Coach, I'm going to ask you to jump into Jason Kidd's shoes. I don't know that I've seen you coach a player defensively that was that poor. But what do you do with a player who is extraordinarily talented, maybe generationally talented offensively, but very bad defensively? Can you hide it? What can you do?
I think when you talk about the best players in the world, right? You got to realize that this isn't college, this isn't high school. So, but you do have to challenge him that he has to be better than he is right now. And I'm not saying he's got to go be defensive player of the year, but he's got to be better than he is right now. And it's not just the blow-bys, but it's the bad angles. Like, I was watching a play, I believe, was it game 2, I believe, where somebody drove down the lane and he came and helped, which he did his job there, but it was such a bad angle. So when they kicked it to the corner, it now created a bad closeout because the way his angle was coming to stop the drive, he wasn't parallel, right? So it created that somebody else, I believe it was Jones, had to go close out to the corner. So now that's a bad closeout. So he drove baseline. Now the other guy who was in the other side for help did his job to come help the helper, right? And he stopped them, but now they hit Rue Holiday, who had relocated for the hammer pass in the corner, got another bad closeout, drove by him. Like, when you don't do what you're supposed to do defensively, I wish Coach Britt was on this podcast. It creates opportunities. We talk about it all the time, attack bad closeouts. So he has to be better at that. And if he wants to win, right? So that's got to be a conversation about what do you really want, Luka? Do you want to just be known as a guy who can get it done? He's going to go to all these all-star games, blah, blah, but probably won't be able to get it done unless he's better defensively. Or you could say, as an organization, we know his liability. It is prevalent and evident. Because let's be honest, Steph Curry had a defensive liability too, right?
Yes.
So now you got to place tougher, harder defenders around him, right? And now you try to hide him. But you got to realize in the NBA, just like I remember when the Cavs and the Warriors were playing, they were putting Steph in that ball screen every time. Every time. And that's really what Boston has been. They've been attacking Luka every time.
It's certainly tough to watch. I agree with you. The first point that you made is the one that I agree with the most. He doesn't have to be a defensive player of the year, but you can't be that bad.
Right.
You've got to be better than what you are today. And I do harken back to Steph Curry. Steph Curry was porous defensively, but giving in effort.
Yeah.
And, I think with Steph, it was just too small. The physicality, you put a more physical player, and it was tough for him at times. But he's got to – I think he's got to watch that Steph Curry film of – like you mentioned, he's not.
Yes.
Steph wasn't gonna be 3 bad closeouts on a single possession.
Right.
He's got to be better than that. I know.
And some of the bad defense too. A lot of times we only see the blow by. Some bad defense comes from taking a bad shot and then complaining about a foul. So now you're putting your team in a bad situation on the other end because it's 5-on-4. Every foul can't be an official's fault.
I was going to get to that.
I will just leave it at that. It just you can't lay on the ground and be looking up at the official with your palms out, as they say. Palms out means Anyway, you can't do that because you're putting your team in a bad position.
I was going to get to that because I knew that particularly would get under your skin a little bit. It is normally Coach Britt who is having some of those more spirited, encouraging conversations with players on the bench. But I feel like that complaining about fouls and talking to the official would get a very spirited conversation from Coach Huff regarding that. Is that I once was at a coaching clinic and God rest Bobby Knight yelled at me and told me that the particular thing I was complaining about my team was my fault, that either I taught them that behavior in practice or I allowed it in practice so they continued to do it.
Yep.
Would this be the fault of Jason Kidd? They've allowed Luka to do this throughout the season. Can you stop it this quickly? or how would you possibly even approach those conversations this late in the game?
Man, Jason Kidd is going to always be a better coach than me. I'm just going to say that. So I'm not trying to tell him what he needs to do, right? But I do believe in culture. And you think about the Miami Heat, right? And I don't care who you are, where you've been, what you've done, you're going to do it a certain way, right? And so I'm not going to say they allowed it. I guess you have to say they have allowed it because it's gotten to this point. But as one of my coaching buddies said, we're acting like he hadn't been doing this all season. So you can't, it's very hard to flip the script in the middle. You've been allowing somebody to do something, and now on the biggest stage, you're trying to flip it. Like, that's going to be very tough, right? So that has to start. I think right now, probably as coaches, yeah, we're thinking about, all right, he's thinking about game 4. What can we do? But I guarantee you that organization, and especially Jason Kidd and that staff, is thinking about, this is something we got to do differently next year if we want to win the title. What are we going to do to really talk about and get Luka to buy in defensively and not complain to the officials so much?
I'm gonna ask a question. In your opinion, and I ask you this because I know, like you watch all basketball. Are the Dallas Mavericks really a better team than the Minnesota Timberwolves?
More seasoned. They were more seasoned, and they had been in that moment before, right? You got to realize Kyrie has won a championship. He's been in that moment. He was playing extremely well. Again, I don't think Minnesota adjusted well defensively to guard Kyrie and Luka. I don't know if you can say not just Minnesota. Dallas beat OKC in the second round, if I'm correct, right?
Yes.
OKC was just young.
Young.
Right? But I think that's the West, right? The West is loaded. Like, it's just loaded full of good teams. And nothing against the East. I think we had some injuries that impacted the East of why things kind of flipped. But it's loaded in it. Some matchups just aren't good for some teams too now. I've always said that. To win a championship requires a little luck, no injuries, and the right matchup, even in the NBA.
Very true.
Like, there are teams that never won a championship because they ran into the same team over and over. And some teams that before they could win, they had to figure out how to get past that team. Detroit had to figure out how to get past Boston. Chicago had to figure out how to get past Detroit. Like, I think like Atlanta could never get past Boston. And that's always who they ran up against.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Sacramento couldn't get past the Lakers. Neither could Portland.
Stopped them from winning the championship.
Utah got to the championship 2 times in a row and couldn't beat the Bulls. Right? So
that's how it goes.
It's how it goes.
I've got to ask. I know you're huge on culture, and how much culture can elevate a program. Does Miami gets a lot of credit for having great culture?
Mm-hmm.
But does Boston not get enough credit for having great culture?
I think that's something to be said about that, because whether it has been Brad Stevens, what's my guy in Houston now? He is in Houston, right? No,
he is in Houston.
I can't think of his name.
I can see his face, but I can't remember his name either.
So there have been 3 coaches and 2 GMs.
Yes.
Like, so there is something to be said. And they've made some mistakes. Udoka, thank you, Reedy. Yeah. Like, they made some mistakes. Kyrie didn't fit. They said they had to move on from Marcus Smart, which paid dividends, right?
Drafted every small forward imaginable for like
Grant Williams didn't work. So, we got a lot of things that we can talk about, but you get to the point, and sometimes things fall in place for you. So people can say, man, every team they play in the East, they had an injury. So what would I tell my LeBron fans? I said, oh, you won a championship in the bubble. Now they'll be on my neck, right?
I'm not going to start.
Right. Just things fall into place. And I think Boston, this was their year. We talked about at the beginning of the year. They had built the team that was ready. And Porzingis, to be honest with you, was that X factor. Him and Holiday, like I remember when they got Holiday, I said, "Ooh, I think I told you, Drew." I said that changes them. Now you got championship pedigree on your team.
Yes, and he's been big
Defensively. No one, like I'm telling you, that winners, man, winners. We were just talking about it today, Coach Reedy and I. We were talking to Coach Jackson and even talking to Coach Morgan, man. You know, I know we're gonna have our. I ain't gonna break it right now. When we do talk about our recruiting class, what you'll notice is winners. Let's save it for the end of the show. We'll jump at the end of the show.
Well, I appreciate that breakdown. I think a lot of good gems there. Culture reminds me of our good buddy down in Tampa, Florida, saying 5-star people.
Man, we always talk about better people make better players.
Yep.
But I even saw it again. I want to say it was either early this week or late last week. Jerome Tang said it, and he said, "Would you rather lose out on a recruit that's going to beat you twice a year or going to beat you all year?" Let that kind of sink in on what I'm saying.
Very true.
You lose out that he goes someplace else, so he may beat you twice a year. But if he's not the guy that can fit into your culture and your locker room and what y'all trying to do, he's going to beat you all year.
Every day.
Every day. In practice, in games. You can win games. Right? But there may be teams that can show me teams that had bad culture guys all around. And did they win a championship? Somebody may say, well, the bad boys were go watch now. The bad boys were locked in to what they were supposed to do.
Bought in.
Yeah.
Bought in. And Chuck Daly, they worship the ground he walked on.
Yep.
For 100% bought in.
I saw some, and it's not basketball, but as much as I hate him for 28-3, I think was it last night or Tuesday, they retired Brady in the Patriots Hall of Fame or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And every player, offense or defense, every coach that had been around. So when I say every player, he took Drew Bledsoe's job. He was there at his retirement.
Yes, he was.
What does that say about culture and what Tom Brady was able to do? Love him, like him, hate him, whatever. Like that says a lot.
Absolutely does. Guys are bought in. Look at Reedy. That is just shameless, Reedy. That is shameless, Reedy. You're in Jacksonville now, sir.
Oh, he's not changing his allegiance now. Please believe that.
Oh, man. Well, when it comes to culture and 5-star character kids, I think we've got a couple that we're going to show today.
Yes, sir.
Huff, I've got a submission for you.
Okay.
You recruit playmakers and monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to present a argument for you today that there be an addition to that group. And I will remind you after the first video.
Okay.
I believe the addition should be far be it from me to make those types of changes. But after I watched the film,
all right.
Wow. I've been blown away by this kid for a long time. So there will be no surprises.
Okay.
Up first, high character, leader. I could say a lot of things. A kid that I was so happy when you decided to to take. We've got RJ Nord.
Yeah. And I think what people have to realize is that RJ was a Division I transfer from Elon, who you know, Division I talent, but sometimes not going to the right fit, right? And RJ's a worker, and so he's going to focus himself on what he can do better. So what he did during his time in those 2 years not playing as much was get in the weight room. And what we saw is what I call this year's sea legs. Like he was an NFL running back.
Right.
And what we saw in workouts ending the season is he was the RJ that I remember seeing coming out of high school. The first step, the quickness, and those things, you know. But he did so much for us. Sometimes playing out of position this year, end up averaging, 8 points, 4.3 rebounds, 1.7 assists. Had some big games for us, whether it was a 12-8 at Clark, versus Clark, whether it was a 19 versus Benedict, 14, 5-6 versus Fort Valley, 10-6 versus Lane, 17 versus Spring Hill, 19-8 versus USC Beaufort, 12-6 versus Flagler, or 14-7 versus Fisk. A lot of times he was playing with the ball in his hands there. At times we would put him in the high post. We would use his strength for him to get to the rim. And I think what he learned as the season went along is to just be him. Just be him. Don't worry about what somebody said you can't do previously. I want you to be RJ. And when RJ can be RJ, RJ's really good.
Very true. We're going to give RJ a little bit of a rewind. It was a couple of plays here that I wanted to make sure I pointed out too.
That right there is him. Getting to his spot, coming off ball screens, boom. Another one, boom.
Killer. His body and size. I love this play right here too because I see your players do that a lot. Make a pass, relocate, find an open spot. You do a great job of teaching guys how to play.
Yes, we run plays, but it's about how to play the right way. Right, then being able to turn defense into offense right there. I think when RJ gets going downhill, he's, again, tough to stop. But, again, right off that ball screen, getting right to the pull-up jumper. Again, we're not a three or a layup team. We still believe in mid-ranges and Duval. Reading the screen very well right there to reject it. Getting out in transition here at Benedict.
Knows how to use his body, create space.
And I think you're going to see, more explosion out of him this year. I think that's going to be great for him.
So a kid that came off of, like you mentioned, not playing for 2 years.
Right. To average, to basically average 8 and 5, kind of got banged up late in the year. He missed a couple of games, and but I'll tell you, his first half, especially versus Spring Hill in the conference tournament, we don't win that game without that first half he had.
I love this spin move. Yeah. Finishing. That's grown man basketball right there.
And he was a great rebounder for. I think, we kind of got on him late in the year that he got away from what was really helping us early. He can really rebound the basketball for us. And we really like that from a guard position too.
Yep. I think, as you mentioned, as the year went on, maybe a little wear on those legs, maybe a little fatigue.
Hadn't played, like we said, in 2 years.
Can't finish at that rim, though.
Yes.
He can finish. I think Huff, as you said, seeing more explosion from RJ makes him extremely dangerous.
Yep.
At the rim. Showing the defense again right there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, RJ just has that way of just getting right into your chest and
Yep.
then making his move.
If that shoulder gets turned and that first step gets by you, you're in trouble, especially if you're not bringing anybody over to help side. And then the best thing about him, it was so funny because it took Coach Reedy can attest to this, teaching him playing off two, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't comfortable early doing it. And you could see he got better of it later on in the season. And that was a good thing.
I would agree. Coach, my
Okay.
playmakers, monsters, and I don't know what we call it. Hybrids? Can you be a hybrid of a playmaker and a monster?
And that's going to be I think we saved that for the what we're going to talk about at the end of the show, because that is a great point. And you're going to see a little bit more of that.
Listen, I don't know if people know. If you watch the show enough, you will know. I am super high on the ceiling of Amari Floyd. Super high on the ceiling of Amari Floyd. I feel like this is a kid, especially as I go back and I'm watching the film, that is just scratching the surface of what he can be. If you stand next to him, he's much bigger than what he seems to be on paper.
On film, on paper, he's long, he's rangy. I think, I know what Clark Atlanta's big man did. I will take nothing away from him. He deserved to be player of the year. But we can put Amari Floyd on anybody from 1 through 5, and we don't have a problem.
I would agree. Coach, how did you find Amari Floyd? And where did this kid come from?
So this is where your connections come in, because everybody thinks you just are out on the AAU circuit, you're out watching high school, but sometimes you don't get a chance to see everybody. And so my Morehouse brother, David Dada, head coach of Carver, Atlanta, gives me a call and says, "Huff, man, I got a player for you. I think the sky's the limit. He's my best player. We may not be a state championship level team, but coach, he's a player." I start watching film. Man, he's averaging 20 plus, almost 30 sometimes at Carver, right? He's giving him and Jabari Smith are going back and forth because they were in the region with Sandy Creek. Jabari Smith was a lottery pick. I'm like,
right.
Okay.
Right.
So I go look at the people that were playing in their region. And so I respected Dada. I saw the film and I said, let me call other coaches. So I called Jay Mack at Sandy Creek, and I called my guy at Whitfield, who used to be at Whitfield, who was Dwight Howard's head coach. And I don't know why the name, Courtney Brooks. And I said, tell me about Amari Floyd, the player at Carver. They said, Coach, you better get him right now. And we were able to get him as a freshman at Voorhees. And the plan was to redshirt him, right? And by the end of the year, he was playing. And he accepted the challenge of coming with us to Edward Waters. And the sky's been the limit for him, and like whether he's catching a tip dunk, whether he's making threes, whether he's making plays for others, whether he's defending. You'll probably see it all in this film.
And you definitely will see it all. I'll just shut my mouth and roll tape. You'll see a lot of those.
Right. Long, gets out with great strides. Put back dunk right there. Can be at the top of your press. Can guard that point guard, can make the open three. We played Benedict, and it seemed like every time we had to have a bucket, and especially with a jump shot, it was made by him. Right? And like you said, he's only scratched the surface. Only scratched the surface.
some of these really athletic layups.
Like he got that rebound. Like people don't know he got that rebound.
Yes. You know me, I always pay attention. The guy who shoots and the entire team stands up on the bench, that guy can really shoot it. Amari Floyd gets that treatment.
Shot it, in the mid-30s. Coach Reedy used to joke with him all preseason. You can't shoot the basketball. Right, he made shots. He made shots. He ended up averaging 7.6 last year, 4.6 rebounds, 2 assists a game, and 1.7 steals. So again, impact like all across the board. Versus Benedict, he almost had a triple double, 13, 9, and 9. Like versus a nationally ranked team. 21 versus Allen where he had 5 threes. 25 and 6 versus Fort Valley where he had 5 threes. 16 versus Albany State. 11 and 5 versus Lemoyne Owen. 10 and 8 versus Lane. 12 versus Kentucky State. When he realizes he can be great, and we have challenged him with that this off season. I think that's the next level for him.
He needs to be watching that Jaylen Brown tape.
Right.
How do I go to the next level?
Realize he can dunk on anybody. Like, stop trying to lay the ball up.
Yes. No more of these layups.
Right. Put it on his head.
2 hands, tomahawk, the back scratcher.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun to watch.
Want him, one of the big things too is like that happened right there because he moved. We want him to move better without the basketball. Like, don't stand as much. Get to your spots if you have to make those open shots, but also move better without the basketball. Well, I think this was great right here. On his head, right there, on his head.
Those are the ones I want to see, man. Listen, the 3-point shooting is great, Amari. I love it. You did a great job. But, man, when you start – I love that because – and I know it's taught because I've seen him do it. I saw Christian Ford do it. I saw Deshaun Edwards pump fake and drive off the 3. Like, don't necessarily I watch your kids outside of Vino. They're not taking every open one. Vino's taking every open one. If I was Vino, I would take every open one too.
Hey.
But outside of that, I see guys who are pretty good shooters, man. Like Christian Ford's a good shooter. Amari Floyd is a good shooter. But they don't take every open one. They're going to shot fake and drive the ball and make you pay at the rim. And I like that about your team.
Yeah, we stress that. We always talk about, there's certain things they're going to always hear from me. Give the good one for the great one, energy, effort, enthusiasm, and how can you play for the brother next to you, right? Because it's not going to always be your night. So what are you going to do to help this team win? Because every night is not – sometimes it's not going to even be on the court. What have you done in practice? What are you going to do on the bench? Maybe when somebody comes out the game, right, that you paid attention because you're not, man, I ain't playing. I ain't got to watch. But you can tell them what you're doing. So those things ring true with these guys. And, again, we talked about it last week, and we talked about it the previous week, whether we were talking about Jeremiah, whether we were talking about K4, Vino, whoever we were talking about. Sammy, didn't matter. These guys are hungry. These returning guys are hungry. They know we lost some close ones that we maybe shouldn't have lost. And that taste in the conference tournament of the run we made. So our guys are hungry for that next step. And we challenged them this offseason of how hungry will you be to be better? And then I'll say this publicly, just like we said it to our guys in their face in our last workout. Our job as a coaching staff was to go find players that are, if not better than you right now, will be better than you. So what are you going to do to come back to be better?
Very true. The gauntlet is laid out. The next player up is going to be Deshaun Edwards. And
Mr.
I got
Highlight film?
yes. He has his patented move is more patented than anybody else's patented move.
Hey, in that post, that footwork is really good for Sean. It's really good.
If you give him the post spin, it is over for you. You're getting scored on, and your coach is going to yell at you in the film room.
And I'll tell you before you start that he's a guy, right? A transfer guy who I actually coached against. He was at Carolina University, NAI, basically, right? And it didn't work for him there. And he reached out to me and we talked. And, you know, kept going through the summer as I had gotten a job, or I didn't even say the summer, the spring. And I remember him going up to our good buddy Andre Gray's elite camp, right?
Mm.
And Andre Gray and the assistant, Jonathan Mandeldove, called me. I said, man, this kid, I said, how did your elite camp go? After they called him. It was great, man. We got this kid, man. He was really good. We just don't have a spot for him. So who's the kid? Man, he's from North Carolina, da, da, da. And they told me the name. And I think that kind of, you know, I knew what I was thinking, but sometimes you have to have that cherry on top to seal the deal. And we were glad Deshaun came to us. And he's the epitome of somebody who started the season well, went through a period where we didn't play him.
Wow.
Like, there was about 2 or 3 games. He didn't get off the bench. Could have sulked. Could have not been bought in. But when he got his opportunity again, he never let it go.
Testament to that kid.
Yep.
The warrior.
That's what we call him, the warrior. Him and Sammy were the 2 warriors, we said.
If you give him that, it's over.
Hey, you know, sometimes you can work with kids and like, what are you taking that? He works on that shot and he makes it. I'll leave you alone. There you go. He works on it, he makes it.
He's going to kill you. If he gets to that, it's over.
Right.
Such a tough shot to stop, too.
Right. Deshaun is another one who moves well without the basketball. Very good, especially if he catches it high post getting downhill. Really like him doing that, and he can catch that thing high post, and he can make you be on a poster now.
He definitely can. It's a good job right there, just getting to the spot. And you guys understand spacing and angles like really, really well.
And I think it's something we're going to get better at. I mean, you still got to realize this team was all learning how to play with each other. There's one of those posters right there.
For sure. You can put it on your head.
You know, he had one where we were begging Sports Center to give it to us. You know, what he can do as a spot-up shooter is make the 3 as well. So we do like that for him. That's a warrior play right there.
Absolutely. Just wanting it more than the next guy. And he's up there at the top of that press, too.
Yeah. Like I said, can make the 3.
That guy knew he wasn't jumping. He did not want to jump.
That time he wasn't jumping because I think this may be the one he did jump. No, this isn't it. But I don't know if you got it in there. But I
was looking for it. I did not see it. I was looking for that play though.
I know you can find it on Sean's social media. It's probably on ours too. But it was definitely a top 10 worthy play on the Defensive Player of the Year from Clark. Again, catches it in the high post, understands what we're trying to do, has patience.
Got to.
Yeah.
Athleticism to spare, man.
Even when we talk about playing a Division I team, which we're going to always do, they're zoning us up right here, and he's finding the opening of the zone.
Directing traffic a little bit right there too. I like that.
To his patented move.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 6'6" to 6'10". He's hitting that spin.
He's hitting that shot. Like, and he was a guy that would go. And what's funny, we talk about, positions, right? And so I'm not gonna lie to you, Sean. If you gave Sean an opportunity, he'll tell you, man, I would love to be that 2 guard now, coach, right? And he's gonna work on some ball handling stuff. He's gonna work on his shot. But Sean was gonna also go down there with Coach Britt and bang with those bigs when we had, our skill work. He wouldn't shy away from it. And one thing about Sean, he's gonna be in that gym. He's gonna be in that gym.
Working. I love it. Well, that ends our player highlight segment, Coach, and it also ends the highlights for the returning players that we have. Any final thoughts on the returners that you got coming back this year?
We're really excited about those guys. Those guys and some other guys that are returning who will be looking to gather more minutes this year. Last year was just the beginning. We got a taste of what it was going to take for us to win, for us to be bought in, for us to understand the small, minute detail of what it takes to winning consistently. We had stretches where we were really good, but we also had stretches where we weren't very good, right? So there are things that we talk to these guys about being better teammates, having more communication, being able to get stuck. Like we thought we were really good in our press to being able to flip teams and make them play faster and turn them over. But we have got and we will be better half court defensively for a myriad of things this year. And our guys know that. We harped on it. Like we just got to be better. We will be. I think as the season went along, we got better offensively. And you can see that the spacing, the pace, all that was really good. And I think the sky's the limit for this group.
I would agree. Well, Coach, we wrapped up the returners. So
I think we've got one more show before we go into season 2, right?
We do.
What will we talk about on that show?
Yeah.
I think we finally get what you want, Jay.
Yeah, let's go.
We get to talk. We get to talk our recruiting class. It's going to be a special show. It won't be a normal Thursday show. It's going to be a Wednesday show, June 26th. It will be myself, Coach Reedy, Coach Britt, because without them, we don't have this recruiting class. And so we're going to get to it to kind of break down the newcomers of who you're going to see as Edward Waters Tigers.
I love it. Reedy got the green lights. Green lights.
Hey,
green means
Fred and Reedy and Brett can attest to this. You got Dr. Faze on every time you see, are we green yet? Are we green yet? Friends, we're green, and you'll be able to see green on June 26th.
Absolutely. We can't wait. We will announce the recruiting class for our newest Tiger signees, our newest Tiger commits. They are locked in, ready to go. And if you've been watching, that means you'll be aware of the entire group that's coming in and will be your Edward Waters Tigers. So, Coach, have we missed anything? Did we touch everything? I think we got everything, did we?
I think, but I don't know. We may have a little something else, but I can't remember if you got it pulled up. You remember, we got it blessed with a distinction as an institution this week by the U.S. World News.
Oh man, the fumble, bro. I'm telling you, me and turning the ball over. I feel, but we talked about Steph Curry early. He had a turnover problem too, and he's a champion. If he can,
right, he is.
If he can overcome it, I can overcome it
In our show, if you're gonna only have one turnover, hey, I'll take that.
I'm gonna have this pulled up because this is huge news. This is huge news. Give me a second. I'll have this pulled
up. Reedy is subbing you out.
Hey, man. Reedy, that's over the course of the whole game. This is not man.
He said it was the first quarter.
You can't do me like that, Reedy. I know Reedy's always going to keep me honest. That much I know.
Hey, he does it to all of us, man. He'll just bring up a point. You'll be like, man, I hadn't really thought of that.
All right, we got it. Here we go. Edward Waters in the top 50
of U.S. colleges and universities, and the growth. Like, those numbers are staggering. I'll let you read them, and then I'll talk about the actual number the place we fell in at the top 50.
You're talking about, here it says top 50 U.S. colleges and universities that saw the largest growth in applications and admissions growth in the country. Grambling came in at number 5. Grambling State University came in number 5. Grambling was the number 1 HBCU. But, here's the post for Reedy's going to be on me again.
He is. I already going to tell you he's going to be on you.
Reedy's going to be on me again.
You don't have to go back.
I got it. Hold on. It was on the 10th.
There you go.
There it is. Edward Waters came in at number 13.
And I want to make sure people understand, like, we're not talking about the top 50 HBCU schools. We're talking about top 50 of all colleges and universities.
Absolutely.
And there was only one HBCU that was better than us.
Correct. Grambling, out of the top 50, out of all schools, Grambling State came in 5th. Edward Waters came in 13th with the total applicants in the 2022-2023 school year. Total applicants at 8,988. Almost 9,000 applications for admissions
to a school. And what people don't understand, as a smaller private school where we, 1,500 students, right? Like, that's why we are where we are, right? That shows what Dr. Faison is doing in the promotion and development of this university. Going from a college to a university, adding these major programs in undergrad, adding, our master's programs, adding cybersecurity, which is one of the biggest things people can get into right now. That's a lot of what is happening with this. And then you piggyback that or put the cherry on top with athletics and the success that we've had athletically. I think that's a big reason. And the development of new things on our campus: football field, weight room, cafeteria, the academic building. Like, people are seeing those things. They want to come to Jacksonville. In addition, lastly, to the changes that's happening in Jacksonville. I tell people in 5 years, this won't be the same Jacksonville you knew 10 years ago.
100%. Just for a measuring stick of change, the 8,988 applications from the 2022-2023 school year was a 363.8% uptick from 2012. It was 161% more even the pre-COVID number in 2019. So that is a quick jump when you consider a university taking that type of leap. It lets me know also that you're meeting the student base or potential student base where they are.
Yeah. And then, what people don't realize is there are many colleges that are struggling, college universities that are struggling with enrollment.
Not just struggling, closing.
And here we are, 13th, second HBCU-wise, with that drastic of improvement and growth of applications and admissions. So it's a testament to our university, Edward Waters, the only HBCU D2 in Florida.
Done a fantastic job. I'm trying to debate on if I'm going to take a little jab or not. I'll just say this. And you don't have to put anybody down if you give somebody else their praise, but people can take this as it may. As an outsider, I do not work for the university. As an outsider, one thing that I've seen the university do a great job of is take advantage of free marketing, meaning they put in the work, the elbow grease to do well and have a great social media presence. When I see the university post things, whether it's Twitter accounts, whether it is Instagram, whether it is TikTok, that is where your student base, potential student base, that's where they're located, on social media. And the university, top down, does a fantastic job of being present and active on social media. And that may not be the only thing paying dividends to this number, but I would say that it's probably a contributing factor. So great job all around.
I agree.
Did I miss anything else? I'm almost scared to ask that question now.
You did not miss anything else.
Okay.
But before you close it up, tomorrow, if you're in Jacksonville tomorrow or Saturday, you're more than welcome to step over to Adams Jenkins or JWJ on Kings Road. It's basketball heaven. You can watch basketball all day for $5. Right? You don't have to leave the gym, but have some snacks, a little food in there for you, something to drink. If you do have to leave the gym and you don't want to go too far, yeah, I'm going to rep the Popeyes. That's right across from the gym, right?
Good man.
So you don't have to go anywhere to see some great basketball starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Last game starting at 9 p.m., and we do it all over again Saturday. And then, like we said, June 26th, that green light's going to show.
I will be in rare form for this one. I will be in rare form for this show. But want to thank everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you guys, everybody for locking in with us. A lot of folks jumped on today. Want to thank you for that. Remember, give to the Tiger Club. Do not wait. Give to the Tiger Club. You go to Edward Waters, the athletics website. You can hit Coach Huff on Twitter, EWU_MBB. If you want to join the Tiger Club, I'm sure that he will be more than happy to send you that information. Edward Waters athletics page will also send you that info. You can go to the athletics website and find it as well. I would put the QR code up on the screen. I have it. However, I don't want to put the QR code up on the screen. If you're watching this show from your device, you can't scan it with a device and you're watching the show on your device. So, but if you need it, I will send it to you. And you can scan the QR code. It will take you right to the Tiger Club, and you can give. So,
and lastly, happy Father's Day. We won't see you before Father's Day hits on Sunday. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers, the people who, are stepping in for fathers. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you, Dre. So enjoy that day. Enjoy that time with your family.
For sure. For sure. We'll see you guys. It will not be a week. It will be 6 days. The 26th will be locked in for our recruiting episode. So we'll see you guys next week.